Happy lunch hour, guys. All right. So, how you liking those gas prices? How you liking those electricity prices? They ain't coming down. I'm going to tell you that flat out. Okay. As much as politicians, the media, whatever, are saying, oh, this is just a temporary blip. Don't worry. They're coming down. Bullshit. Okay. And I will give you plenty of ammo right here just to go back and tell it and show everybody exactly what the truth is, okay? When they want to have a conversation with you, I'm going to give you the facts to talk about. So we all know that Joe has blamed anybody and everybody except himself for gas prices and electric prices, okay? I mean, it's Putin's fault. It's COVID's fault. It's the oil companies' profiteering fault. It's Congress's fault. I mean, it's the Easter Bunny's fault. Who knows? Okay. It's everybody's fault but Joe's. I hate to tell you this, Joe. We aren't that stupid. The gas prices and the electric prices in the United States are your responsibility. You appointed Jennifer Granholm as your Secretary of Energy, so she is at fault under your tutelage for this. You can fix this, you just don't want to. Okay? And I'm going to give you why they don't want to fix it. It has nothing to do with going green. Okay? That's the excuse. Everything revolves around money. Y'all know this, right? What industry does the oil companies, or I'm sorry, what political party do the oil companies primarily contribute to? The Republicans. What political party do the renewable energy companies primarily contribute to? The Democrats. So what the left is trying to do is kill the oil industry for political reasons. If they can get rid of the oil industry, that's less money that the Republicans get in the way of donations, which makes it easier for them to run elections. Now, I'm going to give you some figures. All right. The United States, believe it or not, actually is pretty green if you want to compare to the rest of the world. All right. And I'll just give you this. For electricity generation in the United States, 38.3% of our electricity comes from natural gas, 21.8% comes from coal, 18.9% comes from nuclear, 9.2% comes from wind, 6.3% from hydropower, and 2.8% from solar. Okay? So now you want all these, and we'll take hydropower out of the deal because we've been using that forever, but everybody wants to go to wind and solar, right? Okay, so right now, generating electricity, 12% of our electricity comes from wind or solar. That's pretty damn good. Let's take a look at Australia. We know the Australian problems right now with power outages, right? They want to go completely green. Australia gets more than 80% of their power from coal and natural gas. They get less than 2% combined between solar and wind. Yet the country down there wants to go to 100% green. 2%. Okay? 1 out of 50. That's it. All right. I mean, think about that. They generate enough electricity for each house in the country to run their power for 1 hour every 2 days. That's about it. Okay. That's how not efficient renewable energy is. Again, it's good on a small scale. It's good for your backups. It's good for supplemental. But, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Y'all know I'm filling this pond, right? and I'm running a 1.6 horsepower well pump that's pumping water through a 5/8 inch garden hose. Okay, that's what I'm getting. My big generators, the Delta Pro, will run that pump for 3 hours. Okay, non-stop, run it for 3. I've got to go out every 3 hours and switch generators. Okay, so I can keep running the pump. Now, it will take me from solar more than 3 hours to fill that, or to restore all the power in the generator. So I'll give you that. If I was just doing this off of solar, I could not be filling the pump or filling the pond with that pump as inefficiently as I'm doing it now. It would be even more inefficient. So what do we have going on? We've got good old Potato Joe going to Saudi Arabia this week to beg for oil. All right? We need more oil. After all Joe has said, we want to shut down the oil companies. We want to go green, yada, 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 yada. Sure, okay. Pipe dreams, unicorns and rainbows. Joe wants to go beg Saudi Arabia for oil because we need electricity and we need gasoline, and his poll numbers are tanking. Okay. Now, what did OPEC come out and say? Oh, gee, I'm sorry. We missed our production targets. We don't have more oil to give you. I want you to understand something here, okay? We import oil from countries that drill and produce it cheaper than we do, okay? Iraq, Saudi Arabia. I mean, go to the Mideast, you see gasoline's, 10, 15 cents a gallon. Why? Okay, because it's cheaper to produce it there. It's why we get it from there. Why is it cheaper? Well, they don't implement all the environmental safeguards that the United States do. Their methods of extracting the oil are far more destructive to the environment than ours are. Yet, we don't want to pump oil here because we want to protect the environment. We still want the oil, but we want to protect the environment. So, again, I want you to think about the logic here of the government. Cheap oil is good and more damaging to the environment. While at the same time, we can't pump oil here because we don't want to damage the environment, even though it's safer here. This is the talking out of both sides of your mouth that the left has. Okay. I'm going to give you this. There's enough discovered crude oil in the United States to supply our projected future demand for oil for the next at least 400 years. Like I said, that's just what's discovered. As technology gets better and we figure out more things, more and more and more. A year and a half ago, we were completely energy independent. We were an oil exporter. Now we're out begging the Saudis, begging the Venezuelans to pump more oil. Venezuela, literally our enemy. We won't invite them to a conference of the Americas because we don't agree with their politics, but we'll take their oil. It wouldn't surprise me that Biden be bending over to Iran here pretty soon saying, can we get oil from you? Hey, we'll take off the sanctions because we want your cheap oil. Okay. We don't need to import a single freaking drop of oil. Okay. Our infrastructure can our companies can easily produce the gasoline, the power that we need at less cost, okay? If the government just got out of the way. This is the thing. The government was set up originally to protect the country. That was it. That was what their responsibility was. We do not need government involved in business. Okay, not with all their regulations and not with all their bullshit. And I know people are going to say, well, gee, we've got to have the EPA and we've got to have the FDA and all this. Sure, okay. I'm all for you checking to make sure my food is safe. And I'm all for making sure that we're not having oil spills, and some oversight. But get out of the way with the freaking regulations, okay? Here's where it's important, okay? The price of everything revolves around the price of oil. Okay, we've talked about this before. Anything and everything you touch somehow has been touched by a diesel truck or a diesel train, period. Okay. When oil is cheap, when oil is plentiful, commodities are cheap. Food is cheap, gasoline is cheap, etc. When oil is scarce, like it is now, commodities get more expensive. Gas prices go up, food prices go up. Why? Because everything is touched by oil. You look at Pennsylvania farmers right now that are bitching about $6+ diesel fuel. Said they can't afford to not only plant, but what they did plant, they can't afford to go out and harvest. What does that mean? Food rotting in the field, crops not being harvested. Food prices go up, supply and demand. This is the problem. Every year, the government leases land to oil companies so they can explore it for oil. Okay. If oil's found, the company can then apply for a drilling permit and, of course, allows them to drill a well. If no oil's found during exploration, or it's not going to be profitable to do it, they don't drill it. This is why when Biden says, I've given 9,000 leases and everything like that, they're not going to. Yes, he's allowing companies to drill on land that there isn't any oil or it isn't profitable to drill the oil out of. Why would the companies do it? He doesn't want to give them permits to drill the oil where they've actually found oil. It's like the old joke of, a guy loses a quarter and on the street at night and he's looking around for it and somebody else comes up and he goes, I thought you lost the quarter up the street. He goes, yeah, but the light's better over here. Okay. Again, same thing. We'll let you drill for oil where there isn't any, but we won't let you drill for oil where you know it's there. Duh. Okay. Go into this, guys. It's not Russia's fault. It's not China's fault. It's not Ukraine's fault. It's not Venezuela's fault. It's Joe Biden's fault. Period. The reason your food is up, or your food costs are up, the reason your gas costs are up, are because of the caviar wishes and champagne dreams of a moron. Okay? We cannot continue like this. People need to know that the reason everything costs so much more is because of the decisions of, I'd say one man, but we know Susan Rice and Barry and everybody like that are pulling the puppet strings. The solution to this is very simple. Very simple. Even a monkey could do it, or a caveman could do it. That's what it was. Okay, the Geico commercials. Joe is not smarter than a fifth grader. Joe is not smarter than a caveman. We know that. Okay. But all we need to do is start drilling and producing our own oil again. And you could see electricity prices go down, food prices go down, gas prices go down, and the economy start to turn around. This pipe dream of everybody going green is all political. It has nothing to do with the environment, as much as they want to say it is. If it had so much to do with the environment, why is Joe begging for oil from countries that are less environmentally friendly than the United States is? Ask anybody who is a greenie that and see what kind of information and what kind of response you get. Pinball out.